Coming up on Smart Tech today, it is an Amazon-heavy show. Matthew Cassinelli and I talk about Amazon's hardware event. There's Amazon Sidewalk, there are new Echoes, new Eeros, new Echo Dots. There's everything you could possibly want from Amazon, and some things you may not want. Plus, I talk about my AirPods Pro replacement, and we, of course, round things out with our picks of the week. Stay tuned. Smart Tech Today is brought to you from TWiT's LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? Well, LastPass can ensure that they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether employees are working in the office or remotely. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by MySudo. Life is better without spam, ads based on activity, hacked info, or the risk of identity theft. Take back control of your privacy with MySudo. Download the MySudo app today from the App Store or Google Play. Go to mysudo.com/twit to learn more. Hello and welcome back to Smart Tech Today, where we explain the exciting, the dynamic, and the sometimes confusing subject that is the Internet of Things. I don't know why there are air horns, but I am Mikah Sargent.
And I am Matthew Cassinelli. Hello, Mikah. How are you doing?
I'm just doing all right. You know, I'm hanging in there, hopeful, happy, and hot you are. Yeah, it's warm out there. It's like pack. What, 106 or something?
Not here. Dear God, I can't imagine that. That just blew my mind. It's still only like 81 here and I'm complaining. So I don't know what it is near you, but we've also...
I think it's supposed to get up to that or maybe something like that. I don't know. All I know is that it is warm, and I am reminded of my days in Missouri.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and the air quality just started to get bad again, which is the worst part. So we couldn't air it out this morning or anything. So that's lovely. I was kind of like, oh, we're past it. No, definitely not. But
is
I was up this morning looking up.
Escape?
Maybe. No, I don't think they designed it that way. But I mean, California naturally does burn, at least. So there is that, but not at this rate. But I was definitely up this morning looking up HomeKit air conditioners. And there's pretty much, I think, only one by GE that works in the US at least. So might look into that.
Yeah, that's exciting. And what makes it home? Like the whole, is it a portable air conditioner? Is it a window unit? How does it work?
I think it's a window unit, which is, I mean, I bet Homebridge would probably be a more affordable and less ginormous version. Now that I think about it, we don't even have the kind of windows that work for that. And I didn't really think about that this morning because I was up at like 6 a.m. doing this research. So maybe not the best. Ours open out.
You don't have a window that can have a window unit?
No. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. This house was built before air conditioners existed.
And before you needed them as much, I'm sure, too.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, at least lately. But I think it's just like there's only 2 to 3 weekends out of the year where it gets warm enough that you really, really need it. But if it's going to keep, I think being trapped
I'm tired
with the
of
smoke
hearing
and
that.
not being able to open the windows.
I'm tired of hearing that it only happens two or three times. That is not true. Yeah, maybe it used to be when there were wagons on the road, but I don't believe that.
5 years ago, it probably was. I mean, this has only been the third weekend. Specifically in Berkeley, we get the Bay winds and things like that keep it a lot cooler than the surrounding areas. But it's going to be warmer than normal, I'd say, going forward. But I feel like the AQI stuff will be a endless story, so maybe we shouldn't hammer it too hard. Because
we can talk about, so Amazon every year holds an event where they announce a bunch of hardware. So the hardware event is kind of a huge time for them. Amazon, of course, does Prime Day every year as well, and ended up postponing that. It's supposed to be happening in October now. And so with the hardware event, we were kind of keeping our eye on things, but it was very likely that it'd be later than maybe we expected. And it did finally happen. It finally came around, and Amazon announced some new Echo devices, some new Ring devices, and last but not least, a cloud gaming service. That's right. It's no longer just Microsoft and who's the other one? Google, who are making cloud gaming services. Now, Amazon is making cloud gaming services. The Luna is its take on cloud gaming. I'm curious, Matthew, did you know that this event was coming up, first of all? And then secondly, kind of what was your reaction as we started to see the news pouring out from the event? And then, we'll go from there.
I had sworn I put it on my calendar, but I'm pretty sure I misscheduled it. That's what I was looking for, because now the Google Assistant one is what got in my head. That's in October 8th, so that's coming up, and I must have misplaced those together. But it is, I think, at least if you are in Apple circles, the thing that you probably saw first was the Ring home security drone, the one that flies around a self-propelled drone. That's how all drones are, but flies up and flies around your home and kind of monitors the premises and checks for people and things out of whack for you. So,
and what knocks into your child's head and scares cats, and
this is one of those stories that comes out, and I'm like, I'm always excited because I get to talk to you about it on this show. It's like, Ring,
hilarious.
What are you doing? Just the optics of this seem absurd. I mean, it could be a good product for super rich people. Like, that's kind of what I was saying to my girlfriend, that this announcement made me recognize just even more how much Ring is for people who are like in their homes afraid of what's outside, and that sucks that they're like putting that into people's minds as much as possible with these kinds of products, especially just right off the bat. That's what people assume. So we're playing the video from the demo where the drone flies up and the burglar's like, oh, no way, and runs away. It's more like you just bat the drone away and then do what you need to do. I don't know.
I will say, if I were to do something as awful as break into someone's home and I did see a drone flying at me, I don't think I'm going to bat it away. I think I'm going to be like, okay, this person clearly has some next level security. I'm going to get out of here. Unless I knew about this specific drone, in which case I'd be like, oh, you got the Ring, did you? Okay, I see you.
You're like,
okay.
Oh, cool. Like, check it out.
Yeah. Like, what? That's cool. Oh, so the fan blades are okay. Yeah, I was wondering about this. No, I think that, okay. I'm hitting the microphone. So here is what I want to say, because I think that the sort of the argument or the consideration that it might just be for wealthy folks, I think that what you were saying there is that there's an overlap, that it tends to be that that insular and suspicious and sort of afraid of other folks kind of do fall into that group. But what I will say is this: no matter the camera, if you get a good quality security camera and you want to have one in every room of your house, you're going to end up spending $300, $400, $500. So this idea for $250 that you can basically have a security camera in any room of your house, that's the one part that I like.
Yeah, I see the logic.
For me, right. I see the logic of it. It is for me the brand. And I know some people out there will roll their eyes at that and will say, blah, blah, blah. I don't know exactly what they'll say, but I know they'll say things. It's that it's Ring, and that does give me the heebie-jeebies. I don't want Ring flying around inside of my home. I don't. I think this is a really cool idea.
Looking in.
Right. Hello. How
Obviously, that's ridiculous, but
yeah, I know Bezos isn't peeking in. I just don't want to support the company. And I got to tell you, I recently was checking out Amazon recently purchased, or not recently, but Amazon purchased Blink, the security camera, sort of budget-friendly security camera company called Blink. And when they purchased it, they released a new product called Blink Outdoor. And these were outdoor cameras made by Blink, which is now an Amazon company. I wanted to check these out because they fit right into that sort of Eufy and Anchor and Wise space of being good quality cameras that can last a really long time, but don't cost you a whole bunch of money and offer local recording. So I got the Blink Outdoor. It came with 2 cameras and a little sync module that you can stick a thumb drive into and let it do local recording. And in the app, the Blink app, there is now a huge prompt. In fact, it's a whole tab. So there are, letting it load. There are 4 tabs at the bottom. The first tab is your home screen, which shows you your cameras that you have in your house. The second tab is sort of the activity timeline, so you can see what has been, what's happened, and what is currently happening. The third tab is your settings, but then the last tab is they've made a whole tab that is just a download link to get Neighbors, which of course is the Ring app for setting up the ability to let police check in on your cameras, and you and your neighbors can be afraid of everybody system. That's Neighbors. And I was disappointed to see such a heavy integration with Ring and with that Neighbors app, because I didn't want to have anything to do with that. I knew going into it that it was an Amazon thing, but I didn't know it was going to be a Ring thing. And that's what was disappointing for me. So that's it. I don't want to support Ring. And therefore that more than anything is what made me go, ugh, about this product, having a Ring drone flying around my home. It seems
it is. Yeah. They've proven from their actions how they utilize that data, and in ways that if the technology was ever going to not be racist, they haven't gotten there. So putting that stuff out before they address those types of issues, I think, is why we both tend to have like a fundamental problem with Ring products. And I mean, just the immediate association too of just, I mean, they don't handle your data with the way that people expect in 2020. And regardless of whether or not that's like literally somebody spying into your home versus using it for these purposes, it's just like based off of the company and what they've done. So I think I was even thinking, of course, every single time, this would be great too if you had accessibility needs where you couldn't get around the home, just to be able to go check those things. But again, security cameras can do those same types of things. So it seems like one of those things that's just Amazon logic where, I mean, the like Jurassic Park quote is, they're just like the opposite of that half the time. It's just like, I thought about this, so let's just do it. And they're like, cool. Done.
Yeah. And they never get in trouble with their shareholders for that. So they continue to be empowered to do so, which is interesting. Now let's talk about Echo. So Echo is all new design. We've switched from the tower design to the orb design. There's an Echo. There's an Echo Dot and an Echo Dot with clock. They all feature what's called premium adaptive sound. That's a Dolby product, a Dolby feature. And it has a Zigbee radio built into it, which is nice. If you've got Zigbee products, you'll be able to basically sync those products and use those. So, hey, all of you, I can't even think of the company now. It's just escaped me. Matthew, what's the name of the hub? Wink?
Yes.
What is it?
Wait, sorry. I missed the.
Is it the Wink Home Hub?
That was
Sorry, yes. I was trying to do Wink. All of you Wink people out there will be happy to know that an Echo will feature the Zigbee radio inside. So there's an upward firing woofer, and then you've got two tweeters that push out sound through the front. So it's not a 360 sound. The two tweeters kind of face forward and the woofer goes upward and it puts out sound that way. The one thing that I'm kind of bothered by is the hardware buttons on top are kind of ugly. You otherwise have this really pretty orb, but the hardware buttons kind of get in the way.
They really hide that in the marketing.
Yes, they do.
Now that I see it, there's like a tiny little line at the top of the shots.
They look like they're going to be rubberized for sure. The ALEXA light ring is at the bottom. And it is, like I said, it's a whole new sound, a whole new look to the device versus the tower. But they've redone the sound to try and improve upon that. You can set up Zigbee devices and Ring devices very easily. Obviously, Ring devices are included. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else that has changed. This hasn't changed, but they are very much pushing the whole home audio stuff. They really want you to know that it will, you can put a bunch of these throughout your house and sort of play music all around the house as you want to. That is the actual full size Echo, but now there is also a new Echo Dot and Echo Dot with clock that are also in the Orb format. They look a lot like the Echo Dot full size, and they have. Oh, let's see. I'm trying to remember if there's. Yeah, it looks like they haven't really changed much other than the outward shape of the Echo Dot. So you're going to get some similar sound quality that you already have. It's got the 3.5 millimeter line out on the back so that you can connect them to speakers if you want to. The light ring is at the bottom instead of on top. And then pretty soon they're going to have an Echo Dot for kids that has... They've partnered with Disney, with Warner Brothers, with DreamWorks, with, oh my gosh, is there going to be a Shrek Echo Dot with Barbie and with Nat Geo to provide some Echo Dot kids editions that have like a panda and a tiger, and eventually we'll have even more versions available with other fun designs. So as far as the Echoes go, the Echo devices themselves, we'll talk about the Echo Show in a minute, but as far as those go, better sound is cool. I like the orb design, except for the fact that for me, I think the tower design, it took up less space. And so you could kind of put it amongst some other things a little bit easier than you can with this. So I'm curious how you feel about the new design.
I think it's definitely a big departure that I wasn't expecting. Like, these are much more now smart speakers. Even though they always have been, it did always seem like a Internet of Things smart assistant thing versus what is clearly going to be speakers and like visually in your home acts as that versus something that can kind of, like you said, is like particularly the kitchen, I think is the weird one. I mean, we can get to that in a second too, but that's probably why they're pushing the Echo Show even more, but they did raise the price a lot. So that's fascinating. But it is kind of, I think speaker design is something that's very personal, and there's a million Bluetooth speakers out there. Everybody likes to have their own variety. And so this is going to be a interesting choice. It's kind of hard to tell. Like, I don't know if I've got one behind me, and visually as part of my set for videos or whatever, it's a single speaker versus when there's kind of that orb shape. To me, it implies a second one next to it. And so like the set of stereo speakers. And so even though the HomePod itself just being taller or something about that still feels the same way. So I'm not sure that even the Echo Dot just being the same thing, but just kind of pinched and smaller seems funny too. It really is a dot now compared to the other one was kind of like the hockey puck thing. So I'm not sure. I think the big difference too with the lights being on the bottom almost doesn't make sense to me, because especially with an Echo Dot, I think a lot of people have them on top of things and liked being able to see the ring from anywhere. And so this kind of seems like it kills the feature, but maybe that's also one of those things that people say they like, but isn't as important in the long run. I mean, definitely compared to audio quality, I'd say that was always the reason I never wanted an Echo originally, was because they seemed like little tin cans, and this kind of ups that game. So yeah, I don't know. I'm a little undecided. Where do you land?
Yeah. Okay. I just want to make sure that's the end of what you wanted. Yeah. So like I said, I think that the tower is better in terms of spacing, but I like this design for two reasons. I think Amazon may have realized that some of the sound complaints that folks had came because they were putting things in front of the speakers that are around the tower. And so you don't get as much sound outward. But then also because they can better position those tweeters and woofer in a way that puts sound outward. So this design kind of seems a little bit more foolproof in terms of encouraging proper placement. Then therefore, by encouraging proper placement, they encourage proper sound.
Yeah. It's like almost before they were, in my mind, a lot microphone device, like microphone arrays that could hear you, that also spoke back and had speakers. And now these are smart speakers it makes sense, especially because I wonder if psychologically that helps ALEXA not live in your main Echo. And if you are thinking about it that way, like a lot of people think, or especially children, when they interact with these things, it's like that, where is I want to say her name, but where is ALEXA and stuff like that, versus this could kind of help it be just part of the like omnipresence and the millions of products where your assistant can live. So, and even it does kind of that psychologically centers you back around maybe the app, which they have been pushing more features for too. So people with iPhones who otherwise don't always have access to their Echoes can say the trigger word when the app is open and things like that. So that kind of makes sense. Came to a whole new point there.
Yeah, nice. Let's talk about the Echo Show 10. So this one is not available yet for order. Oh, and I should mention the Echo is available for $99. It releases on October 22nd. The Echo Dot is available for $49.99, and the Echo Dot with clock is available for $59.99, also available for pre-order. And then the Echo Show 10 is going to be $249.99, but there's not a release date yet. With the Echo Show 10, this device is different. It is it looks a lot like the Google Nest Home Hub Max or Nest Home Hub, and it actually will move. It pivots. The screen will actually, the display kind of follows you around. So they're really trying to drill down on, I think that the average user of these Echo Shows might actually use these things for talking to people. It boggles my mind because I'd never do that, but I think that people must, because they keep sort of doubling down on the features that allow for communication. So this one, you could start a conversation with somebody, and as you're moving around in the space, it'll move around with you. And it does both motorized and digital panning and zooming on a 13 megapixel camera. So that way you can move around, and, if multiple people join the frame, then it'll zoom out. And I think that this is really cute. The idea that, you could be in your kitchen and having a conversation with somebody elsewhere. And then as the video is showing, if you're working on a recipe, as you move to the refrigerator to get stuff and then come back to the stove, it will show you, it'll pivot to you and keep that in focus, keep that in frame so you can see kind of what the next step is. So I think that's pretty cool. This was also Amazon's chance to announce that Netflix is coming to the Echo Show, and that's a pretty big deal. So they really want this to be a device on which you watch stuff for sure. The Amazon Echo Show has an AZ1 chip. This is a machine learning chip. That means better voice processing that happens locally. So a lot of these commands then don't have to be sent to the cloud for them to be understood. And so it's going to respond a bit faster. It's got Zigbee, Bluetooth LE, and Amazon has a new feature. We'll get to that later called Sidewalk. That will, this has a Sidewalk hub basically built into it. As well as, let's see, I'm trying to think of the other thing. Oh, no, that's it. And so with Hulu, with Prime Video, and Netflix all on the Echo Show 10, this is really a video streaming device that, you can communicate with folks on. What are your thoughts on this? I mean, do you think this compares at all to the Nest Home Hub? Has Amazon kind of nailed it or not nailed it, do you think, in terms of trying to match with what Google offers there?
Yeah, I think it's an interesting kind of step up. I'm not sure too with the Max because I don't have that, but it doesn't have any sort of rotating type of thing. And it does look like a HomePod or a Google Wi-Fi thing with a screen attached to it. Like the back is a whole little base. So it's kind of fascinating. I do think the biggest, it's fascinating that this product just sort of switched categories because it's more in the Facebook portal realm and with the following you around. And just the fact that Amazon and Facebook are the two companies doing this is like great. But it's still, I think the tech, even specifically about Facebook portal, I've said in the past, I would love this if it wasn't from Facebook. I don't know if Amazon is the company to solve that problem for me also. But I think in terms of the tech, I want this kind of thing. I think I don't know about you, but if I have video chats with my family, we have to stack like 3 books and then a little iPhone stand. I could do a whole mounting ridiculous system, but just trying to get a good video call with somebody. I also like make videos, so I'm like, it has to be perfect and like framed nicely or something, which is ridiculous. But when the thing can just do it for you, it's a perfect example of you would do it better if you didn't have to. And this kind of product solves that for you. And the part about rotating around and things like that, I think is pretty cool too. Not having YouTube and not seeing it likely in the future kind of does put a damper on that because this also becomes one of those like ultimate YouTube devices. And then if you just can't do it or have to use the browser on it, that's not really part of the experience that they're promising. Not that they promise being able to watch YouTube, but so I think it'd be interesting to see Google go up a level into this realm with the hub also, while also keeping a smaller one that can just go on your desk. I was looking at mine and I have a little couch over in the corner and I could go sit over there and it would like rotate to me. But even just the idea of walking up to your smart speaker and saying something and it's like, and like turning and looking at you just gets me. It's just like, oh, what? Like it's a little too real in some ways. So that whole thing, I think it'd be interesting to try it out, but They do say that it's silent and that kind of thing. Also, I always say that about the blinds, is if you just get woken up or it makes a bunch of noise, that kind of ruins it. So it makes sense that this is a lot more expensive now, though. And I'm curious how many people were buying the shows and the ones with the screens on them. So maybe they just had to make it more compelling.
Yeah.
It's an interesting one.
We need to take a quick break. So we'll do that real quick, and then we'll come back with more. I think we're going to be doing an Amazon show for the news today, just because there's so much Amazon stuff and we don't have a whole lot of time. Folks, I am excited to say that this episode of Smart Tech Today is brought to you by our pals at MySudo. Listen, everything you do online increases your digital exhaust, spreading your personal information across the digital world. Like your name, phone number, email address, credit card numbers, billing and shipping addresses, browsing activity, and a whole lot more. This highly sensitive information identifies you and your private activities, leaving you vulnerable for spam, scams, and worse. You want privacy for your daily digital activities, and that's why you need MySudo. With MySudo, you can quickly create different profiles that are called pseudos, and each one can have a working phone number, an email, a virtual card, and a private browser. You give your pseudo profile a purpose, like, say, shopping or selling or online services. Now, every time you talk, you text, you email, you browse or pay, you just use your pseudo profile and finally take back control of the information you share. So for an example, with the MySudo app, you can create a new pseudo profile with a custom phone number and email address. Name your pseudo for what you plan to use for, such as selling or shopping. When potential buyers or services ask you for your contact info, use your new working pseudo phone number and email address instead of risking the exposure of your personal information. You can send and receive calls, texts, and emails with contacts from the MySudo app. Calls you receive are clearly designated that they're coming from your selling pseudo for easy recognition. And in fact, my pal Leo Laporte recommends MySudo. He did so on our show iOS Today. So you know that it is a good app, because not only did he show it off on iOS Today himself, it then convinced me that I needed to get it. And this was before they ever became sponsors on the network. Immediately went and got MySudo, and now it's here. It's fantastic. It is the world's only all-in-one privacy solution. There are 3 different subscription plans. All plans come with unlimited encrypted communications between MySudo users for messaging, for voice, video, and email. And each subscription plan comes with a working pseudo profile, a phone number, email address, and more. Depending on the privacy protection you want, there's Pseudo Go, Pseudo Pro, and Pseudo Max plans that are available with increased privacy options at each tier. Whether you have been hacked, tracked, had identity theft, were scammed, spammed, or just want to prevent these from happening, the MySudo app will mitigate the common risks that we all face today. Download the MySudo app today from the App Store or Google Play. Go to mysudo.com/twit to learn more. Take back and control your personal information with the MySudo app and download it today. All righty, folks, we are back, and now it's time to talk about what I said we would talk about next. That is Amazon's Sidewalk network. So Sidewalk is a new protocol from Amazon, yet another Internet of Things protocol that is going to sort of make low-cost IoT devices that don't need a Wi-Fi or rather they don't need a cellular connection, because instead they can kind of bounce off of devices that are in different places using Bluetooth low energy and the 900 megahertz spectrum. So this is for devices that exist kind of, the reason why it's called Sidewalk is because it's for devices that exist outside of the home. You can think of, so normally one of the main places that folks kind of think about this is a mailbox sensor. So at the mailbox, they want to know when their mail has been delivered. And so they might put like a motion sensor or a contact sensor inside of the mailbox so that when the mailbox opens, they get that alert. But the problem is your mailbox may be pretty far from your home, and it may be too far away for the Wi-Fi network or whatever device you have inside of your home that's Bluetooth, using that to communicate with it. It might be too far away. So what has been done in the past, one example is using the cellular network. And you can think of those collar bands that have the ability to track your dog when your dog is out and about, letting you know where they are. You typically pay a monthly fee to a cellular network like AT&T, and through that you get a subscription that basically is just for that SIM that's inside of the collar, and then it can let you know. But what if we don't want to use a cellular network? Well, that is where Amazon Sidewalk comes in. It is to make it so that devices that work in different spaces don't need to have cellular service, don't need to have Wi-Fi, and can instead sort of remain connected to a hub locally without any need for contacting servers elsewhere. So Tile is going to be one of the companies that's working with Sidewalk. In fact, it's supposed to be launching this is according to an article from ZDNet, supposed to be launching a new tracking device later this year, and it will have Sidewalk built into it. So that, of course, would be for locating pets or other things in your neighborhood. You can kind of think of it as a way to bridge a bunch of devices together on a local level, using Bluetooth and the 900 megahertz spectrum. But in order to do that, you need a hub and a bridge, and that is where Amazon's devices come into play, the new Echo, et cetera. I'm curious now, Matthew, what do you think about this? Because it's an interesting concept where it reminds me a little bit of the the Wi-Fi companies that make it so that anyone can connect to your router if you subscribe, if you rent the router modem combo. And so they make it so that if you are a customer of that internet service provider and you log in, you can kind of access anybody's router, becomes a Wi-Fi access point. It is a little bit, it gives me a little bit of heebie-jeebies as well. It's not quite flying drone heebie-jeebies, but it does give me a little bit of heebie-jeebies where I would be okay with my own Sidewalk devices being connected to my Sidewalk hubs, but I don't know if I want everybody else using mine to connect to stuff.
Yeah, it's so Ring adjacent that you can it's just like one or two leaps away from somehow, oh, and by the way, now all of your Echo devices are used for those like police networks in a way that I just don't like, that it's so embedded in the core of the Amazon products. I guess they just need to, they really just got to work on their privacy policies and things like that, because even the same thing is, Apple is rumored to have some sort of error tag type device, is like the name that I've just said to myself. I don't even know if I've heard that new. I mean, probably, but the chip is the ultra wideband one on the phone, and there generally is the capability for a Find My Friends local network in a similar type of way, but that does come built in with a lot more privacy things that I think are just seem fundamental. Like you said, I'm all for long range stuff from my Sidewalk that works. I get the Sidewalk metaphor too. That's kind of like the promise of local internet anywhere. I was thinking about how these types of things would help in wildfire situations where people would all have networks. I mean, even around the protests, there was apps too about, I think one is Fire Chat or something like that, that you can, by everybody having it, you can text people through that network and it kind of bounces down the network to anybody nearby. So this kind of technology does have merit, and it is interesting to see it so deeply embedded in what's going to be the whole new next generation of Echo stuff. But you're right. It's like a little It sounds like there's one or two positives and doesn't really sell me that hard on why that's worth what could be potential downsides. So
yeah, I want to. So here's a document directly from Amazon. It's the Amazon Sidewalk Privacy and Security White Paper. So I'll quote from it. Customers with a Sidewalk gateway, like the upcoming Echo, are able to contribute a small portion of their internet bandwidth, which is pooled together to create a network that benefits all Sidewalk-enabled devices in a community. This can include experiences ranging from finding pets or valuables that may be lost and improving reliability for devices like leak sensors or smart lighting to diagnostics for appliances and power tools. For example, smart lighting at the edge of a user's property or a garage door lock in a poor coverage zone can receive connectivity support from participating neighbor's gateway and continue to operate if the device falls offline for a period of time. Similarly, a pet finder device can leverage Amazon Sidewalk to locate a dog that has left the yard and is out of reach of the user's personal network. Amazon caps the amount of bandwidth shared to reduce the chances of any degradation in a customer's home network performance. Participation in the neighborhood network is optional for all customers. So there is an off button. You can go into, whenever you set up the device, you can turn on or off Sidewalk Network, as it's called. But it says, as a crowdsourced community benefit, Amazon Sidewalk is only as powerful as the trust our customers place in us to safeguard customer data, which is not much. To that end, this document outlines the steps we have taken to secure the network and maintain customer privacy. And so then it goes into kind of how the gateways work, how that data goes back and forth, how they sort of limit the data that is shared, and all of that stuff. So yeah, you can read the white paper, the security white paper, to understand kind of how Amazon Sidewalk works.
Can you put that in the
yes,
notes?
I'm going to link that.
I think this sounds terrible that I'm going to say this way, but I think I actually do want to read that because it feels like one of those things where they're like, this is great for you, but I'm wondering, this sounds really great for Amazon, and like maybe you'll find your dog. So like, I mean, and obviously I do not want to downplay the importance of pets and how devastated I would be if I lost an animal and it could have been found through something like this, but it still does feel so like neighborly in a way that Amazon hasn't like earned in how they promote these things. So it just is like, this will be good for the world kind of, and then I don't know, it just seems like one of those things that's a Trojan horse. Like, we don't really know. It doesn't promise. There's like 3 pluses and a lot of what seems like could be downside. I don't know. It just is, again, like you said, the heebie-jeebies are there. And if they sold this with more explanation and more real benefit, yeah, like diagnostics for appliances, it all feels very like, that's great for a neighborhood, but individuals doesn't really sell you that hard, and it's being put into every product. So it feels like you just kind of don't have I mean, you can opt in is what they're saying, but it just feels weird to even have that hardware in the whole new generation. Like, there's got to be some people who will not buy Echoes again. Not that, I don't know if this would have stopped them before all the security or potential implications, even whether or not they exist. How you feel about it is a different story. And just this being embedded into every Echo now is kind of, it's a move, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I guess, like I said, it's good that you can shut it off. Honestly, depending on how I feel about the white paper, it might be something that I am bullish about and think is a good thing.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, Apple is doing something similar with the Find My network coming up. And I do have to say that I like the idea. I like the idea of, I like the concept and the innovation that is sort of like, oh, we've got all these devices and that could create a network. We just have to make that happen. And so in that way, I think that that's a cool idea. It's just, it has to be executed the right way and done the right way the first time in order to maintain confidence. So we'll see.
I think that's why even just real quick of Apple, I feel like I'll admit that it's like probably on some level that I do like Apple stuff, and Amazon tends to be weird about this stuff, but it feels like having phones everywhere is a more universal thing versus like embedding it into your home and your speakers, because that actually extends out into the entire world, not just like your garage door opener or something. So I think that's why it just feels a lot more compelling. And even AirTags as a concept, I'm interested in super local stuff as opposed to wide area network. So that kind of space there's a lot of room in between both, but I want to read the paper as well. I'm open to actually understanding better. That's what I want to know. So.
And I also want to point out, Stacey Higginbotham was tweeting about this event as she was covering it. And one of the things that she noted is that Amazon is talking a whole lot more about local control of devices. Mm-hmm. So that was one of the things that I've always been a little bit down on Amazon about, is that Google and Apple are both doing as much local area network control of smart home devices as possible. But Amazon continued to rely on sending that information to the cloud, having the cloud then contact those individual devices and do it that way, as opposed to wide area network versus local area network. Amazon is way more into and way more pushing that local area network coverage. And that is a good thing for anybody who has smart home devices, because they're going to get these devices responding a lot faster. So that is a very good thing all around. And I'm excited to hear that they are being very forward about that. Okay, let's see. There are two more things from Amazon before we move on to the project of the week. The first thing that I want to talk about is Amazon's new cloud gaming service. So this is called Luna. Let's talk about let's explain cloud gaming platforms. So Microsoft and I keep forgetting who the other one is. Why do I keep forgetting?
Stadia.
Google Stadia.
Thank you. Google Stadia. Microsoft and Google have both created these cloud gaming platforms. The idea is that, look, you may not have the computer or the console that can, or you may, and you just want to game somewhere else, but let's go with you may not have idea. You may not have the computer or the console that can properly control and run games and, have these beautiful graphics and things like that. But what if we take that stuff and we put it in the cloud and basically have it being processed by a much, 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 much better computer than you could have in your home. And you essentially just stream over the internet. It sends you the pixels and you send it the controls, and that happens back and forth, and you get to play a game that looks beautiful and runs beautifully, and you are not limited by device, and you're not limited by location and things like that, with some caveats, of course. That is the idea of an online gaming platform. And now Amazon is coming out with one called Luna. Amazon is making a game controller as well. And what's cool is it's going to be available on PC. It's going to be available on Mac. It's going to be available on Fire TV and iPhone and iPad. An Android version will come later. But what's exciting about this is that the other ones have kind of had trouble getting proper access or access at all on iOS, even via web apps, which is the case with this. And so for folks who are on those places, they will be able to use this. It's going to start at $5.99 a month. This is an introductory price. It will go up after that, but you can game with two devices simultaneously, 4K, 60 frames per second resolution. and there will be more than 100 games available at launch, and then, of course, more added over time. So it's and I should also mention, Amazon owns Twitch. There's going to be a Twitch integration, of course.
Yeah, that's cool.
So yeah, $49.99 for the ALEXA enabled Luna controller, and then you can, so it says Luna controller is ALEXA enabled and connects directly to the cloud to effortlessly control your game, featuring a multiple antenna design that prioritizes uninterrupted Wi-Fi for lower latency gaming. In fact, our testing showed a reduction in round trip latency when playing Luna controller with Cloud Direct versus Luna controller via Bluetooth, with reductions of between 17 to 30 milliseconds among PC, Fire TV, and Mac. Because the Luna controller connects directly to cloud servers, players can easily switch between screens, such as Fire TV to mobile, without additional pairing or configuration changes. So this is really neat to me. Basically, the controller doesn't connect between your device and you. Instead, it connects to the streaming platform. And so I'm sending those controls directly to the streaming platform that I'm paying for. And then it is taking those things, doing your controls, and showing you on screen what's being done. So that means that in 1 second, I can be playing it on my Mac, and then I open up my iPad, head to Safari, launch the game, and immediately can start playing without having to do a Bluetooth pairing on my iPad and switching it from Bluetooth pairing to the computer. That is so smart. I love that, because I'm not a gamer at all, but I was thinking about this. One of the biggest headaches that you have is if you're connected with your controller to something else and then you want to make that switch, you've got to then pair it, do all that kind of stuff. No, not with this, because it's not connected that way. It's connected directly to the cloud service. That is smart. I should also note that Amazon said it worked directly with Safari engineers at Apple to make sure that it would work on iPhone and iPad via the web apps, as well as on the Mac. So Mac gamers and iOS gamers, be happy that this is allegedly going to work quite well with that. Yeah. I have requested early access to it just so I can see what it's like if I do get that invitation. But yeah, you were more of a gamer because I remember you talking on one episode of the show about playing, I think, GTA or something like that. So what are your thoughts on streaming games in general, streaming gaming platforms in general, and specifically with this? Are you excited about it or what?
I am not sold on the concept entirely. I think it makes sense in a lot of contexts, but I think in a lot of ways, if you do play console type games, just some of the latency stuff with certain types of games seems like one of those things that can't be matched. So I think probably the biggest thing is that I haven't tried them. And so that is what will make or break the experience, because how quick it is could be fine. I've talked in the past about using OneCast, which lets you send your Xbox to your phone and play through that. And it does have latency as well. So it's all right. I wouldn't play Call of Duty, but I could play Red Dead Redemption by myself, kind of like not things that are like fast Twitch games, as people, not referencing the service, but people call them. The Twitch integration in this is interesting. Like that definitely made this click another level than just like, what is Amazon? I just kind of forgot that Amazon owns Twitch. So, which is very obvious just in terms of hearing this news. It's just kind of like Amazon doing another Fire TV type of thing, or for people who, again, just don't want to buy a console. Like that's a huge thing right now, is that a PlayStation is $400 and Microsoft's doing a whole sort of iPhone upgrade program system for the new Xbox that makes it $30 a month for like 2 years, but it's still only $30 a month, and you get their Game Pass thing. So there's like a ton of choice right now for gamers. That's very interesting. The cloud gaming stuff, that appeal sounds, the part about switching between devices and not having to pair them sounds pretty cool. Like it does sound. I think that's the thing, is we seem so on the precipice of gaming coming to all of your devices, which is Apple Arcade kind of came in and tried to make that available just by you having to, but you have to download like 150 apps and get it and that kind of thing. That's a whole thing with Microsoft's service and what you were referencing, this working through the web app, is that Microsoft currently can't bring their, is it xCloud to iPhone because Apple wants it to basically be separate individual apps for every single game, which just, again, like for me, I mean, that's my problem with Apple Arcade. It even iOS 14 uninstalled them all because it needed the space. And I laughed at that Fortnite article about, oh, watch out, it might uninstall Fortnite. And it happened to me. Like I couldn't play it again. If not that I want to, but it is still like that app is no longer on my device because I uninstalled it. So there's definitely a
yikes.
I mean, it's like, even if you think about it, Apple's like profit margins come from their storage space. It is wild that Apple's money comes from hardware space like 90% of the time, just because they sell you on a 1 terabyte thing and it doesn't cost them nearly that much. So it is kind of a space that would hit Apple hard. So it's interesting to see. I mean, you can't stop the web, which is a good part about that hopefully the web app does. And the technology is there for, I think that's something that's been true over the last few years, is things that you would assume couldn't work on the web definitely can now. Figma is a great example. It's a design tool that I use that is basically Google Docs for design, and you can do it all online. And people kind of think you need a whole computer for that, but you could do it from anywhere basically. So I didn't realize I had this many thoughts about this because I kind of like, I don't know. I think I kind of have to participate in this at some point just to see what it's like, because I am interested in games. That's something I've always been interested in, but is something that I'm going to be like doing more game streams. So it would be like, I guess I didn't come back around to that point about Twitch, is you could be watching someone on Twitch and immediately jump into the game that they're playing. That was a cool thing about Stadia. So it seems it's more compelling than I originally thought. Whether or not, I think the problem is just internet speeds fundamentally, especially during quarantine times, are unreliable. So watching a game go from 4K to 480p or something is not a tenable solution. So that is kind of just that whole underlying hook with these, that it's not clear. But I wonder if it could stream directly to your echoes for the sound, or like latency with sound is another thing. And when you were talking about the controller switching, my eyes like lit up, because AirPod switching is very good lately. That's one of the new features of iOS 14. There's still some stuff to iron out, but if you could have controller switching with an Apple-based controller, they could kind of do that with Apple Arcade or things like that. So yeah, it's a whole world. Like Microsoft is supposedly going to come out with the Xbox app letting you stream directly from your Xbox and things like that. So there's a lot of decisions to make if you're a gamer going forward. But I think what's great is there's tons of options. Like that was one of the major things with lockdown, is everybody was playing games, especially, I mean, Animal Crossing got a lot of awareness, but just as a pastime, it's fantastic. There you have endless games that I've been watching tons of TV, but you can only watch so much, and games you can kind of play endlessly. So companies moved to invest in this area more. It's big news. Yeah, it is kind of interesting to see how Apple's going to respond to these levels of gaming that don't seem to fit in with their current model. I mean, that's been the whole Fortnite drama for the last 2 months that I've been trying to avoid, but oh no, now I can't play my Fortnite.
Let's move on. We have one more thing to talk about from the Amazon event, and that is the introduction of new Eero devices. So Amazon bought Eero. We've talked before about that on the show, and Eero is coming out with the Eero 6 and Eero Pro 6. These devices will support Wi-Fi 6, and they also have built-in Zigbee hubs. So once again, you have another place to have a home hub to control your Zigbee devices. This is fantastic. Wi-Fi 6 is the next version of Wi-Fi. It is not. It is, it's a newer technology. And I should also mention that Amazon has introduced the Eero 6 Wi-Fi extender. So you can add more Wi-Fi coverage to your home. It works a lot like the beacon, basically, the current Eero beacons. It will let you connect. It looks like it says you can add as many as 6 of these extenders, and they will provide you with Wi-Fi coverage in those areas. So that is the Eero 6 extender. And I should note that Eero is a sponsor of the TWiT network. And so, I just wanted to point that out. But these new products, $89 for the extender. It looks like $129 for the Eero 6 and $229 for the Eero Pro 6. The differences between the two. So the Eero 6 is kind of your standard consumer device that will give you Wi-Fi 6 speeds with, or Wi-Fi 6 technology, I should say, with the Eero goodness that it comes along with. The device alone, the Eero Pro 6, it can go up to 2,000 square feet with Wi-Fi speeds up to a gigabit. So not even wired, but Wi-Fi speeds up to a gigabit. Wi-Fi 6 lets you connect 75 plus devices simultaneously. So that's more than the current amount. And of course, the Zigbee Smart Home Hub is in there as well. So gigabit Wi-Fi, which is brand new with Wi-Fi 6, better connectivity, and the Eero Pro has tri-band features. So that is a little bit different. It looks like, as far as these go, the Eero 6, not Pro, covers 1,500 square feet. The Eero Pro covers 2,000 square feet. And they say if you want that gigabit speed, you're better to go for the Pro. The Eero 6 itself can do up to 900 megabits per second. Both of them have Wi-Fi 6. The reason that the Pro can do more is because it's a tri-band router, whereas the Eero 6 is a dual-band router. Both feature 2 gigabit ports, which is standard, and USB-C power for them, which is standard. And by standard, I mean currently that is how the Eero that I have works. So these will come out, let's see, the November 2nd is when the Eero 6 and Eero 6 Pro are supposed to come out. I have pre-ordered the Eero 6 Pro. I'm excited to upgrade to Wi-Fi 6 and see if that can get me up to the gigabit speeds that I am paying for throughout my home. So we'll see about that. I'm looking forward to this. I knew that Eero was on its way for an upgrade, and we actually covered that on here as well. And so now it's ready.
Nice. Yeah, this is interesting. I'm curious. I know they have the cross compatibility thing, but I'm curious if I was to do this, what I should do. I think it's also funny that I saw 2 people in the tech or creator community talking about I'm going to wait for Wi-Fi 6 Plus or whatever the next one is. And I was like, weren't we supposed to wait for Wi-Fi 6 already?
Yeah.
So everybody, that's always the recommendation, is just wait for the next one.
Wait for the next one. Wait for the next one.
I mean,
this
is more relevant. I mean, at least since I got my Eero, we got Sonic, which has gigabit. And so that was something that I was basically disappointed in, that it didn't work as well. And I even have it wired upstairs because it wasn't acceptable speeds to basically do this show, actually. So I'm not totally sure. I mean, my girlfriend has problems sometimes with calls in her office area. So it might be worth getting that kind of thing. And I think it's kind of confusing because I kind of knew about, I like did all my research about Eero back when, and then have stayed up to date with their apps and general updates, but I didn't really realize how the product line had officially changed, where they used to sell you a 3-pack of just Eeros, and you'd put them in the different spaces and that was fine. And now it's kind of like one that maybe will cover your entire space. That's the Pro. The Eero 6 plus, and then there's just the Eero 6 if you only need that for a smaller amount of space or a certain amount of Wi-Fi's. That can also be bundled with an extender for more space, but not necessarily as much speed. Like, I don't know if I need a Pro Plus extender in a house my size or what.
Right,
like, that's what I don't fully understand. And then they even have the, what's the little one called? So, I switched away from the page.
The beacon.
They have like this, just the single mesh Wi-Fi thing that is a separate, I don't exactly know how it fits into this because it's just like a single little one. So maybe those are the extenders that or it's not officially extender. It's a different.
So
I think the term extender in my brain is bad. I always thought that or what is the Wi-Fi repeaters that are like a product that technically exists, but you kind of shouldn't get them unless you actually really need it, where people always, because it in the past would cut your Wi-Fi in half and then project from there.
Yeah.
And my brain is like, these Eero kind of replaced that, but now it feels like it sort of confused itself back into a mixed product line like that. So
yeah, and that's the thing, is that it's different depending on if you have a mesh network system versus a non-mesh network, where it can not only cut your Wi-Fi, but also can interrupt each other. Whereas a mesh network, they all work together to do a better job of spreading the signal. And so what I'm interested in finding out after I get this Eero Pro 6 is if the beacons that I have in my house are going to be good additions, because the Eero beacons are still for sale. They're $149, but the Eero 6 extenders, I should note that the Eero beacons are the current version, Wi-Fi 802.11ac, but the Eero 6 extenders are $89, meaning that they are less expensive than the Eero beacons, and they provide Wi-Fi 6, 802.11ax. So,
but they're not mesh? That's why I'm like...
No, they're mesh. They're mesh.
Okay, then I don't know what the 1-pack and 2-pack $100 and $169 ones that they have are. Like, what's the difference between that? I guess it's just not Wi-Fi 6. Maybe that's where I just got messed up. These are just like the next gen.
So
because then
basically,
there's so many.
I'm thinking that my beacons that I have are not... Like, I might as well get extenders to go with my my current Wi-Fi network and basically replace the beacons, which is kind of annoying, is what I'm trying to say, because they don't have Wi-Fi 6. So I'll have one Wi-Fi 6 device, but I would want those devices to connect to the Wi-Fi 6. So we'll see how this all goes for sure. And I'm looking forward to checking that out. It looks like, oh no, never mind. That's not the case. Okay. Let's move on to, or up next is our project.
Sure.
And let's talk about the project this week. So I wanted to talk about, this is an ongoing thing that I have struggled with, and I've seen a lot of different people kind of talk about it. And I even had one person reach out and say, wait, that's a problem? Mine have been doing this. I didn't know that was a problem. And I was like, yeah, please, you should get these replaced. So AirPods Pro, these are great little things. And I like my AirPods Pro, especially now that Apple has introduced a new technology called spatial audio in iOS 14. Or as Leo
I haven't
calls
even
it,
used that. I don't know how it works, but
so spatial audio, just to kind of talk about why I think it's cool, it kind of, because I've got a bunch of different headphones and a bunch of different earbuds and so many of different kinds. And I use my AirPods Pro at night when I listen to audiobooks to fall asleep. And so I'll put, one in, and because I'm a side sleeper, and I'll listen to my audiobook on a really low volume and then set a sleep timer and fall asleep to it. But outside of that, I don't usually use these because I've got better headphones or earbuds in different places. But because of spatial audio, I kind of was wanting to use these more. And I turned on noise cancellation, and my AirPods started doing the howling, whistling sound again. And when you touch it, it like clicks. And that had happened to my right AirPod unit. And I contacted Apple support at that point, and they sent me a replacement. And the replacement arrived. I took the faulty AirPod Pro and put it in this little container thing that they gave me to send it back. I sent it back, and then I got my replacement, and then they took the charge off of my card. So basically what they do is they want you to send the faulty unit so that you're not kind of just getting free AirPods Pros every once in a while. So they will charge your card temporarily for the cost of a replacement. And then once you get the package, they include like a FedEx return box that you send it back in. And then once they get that faulty unit, they take the charge off of your card. So that went fine the first time. Well, as I said, I was trying out spatial audio, and my left one started messing up. And so I thought, oh, great. And I kind of put it off and put it off and put it off, as I did the first time around, because it's just annoying you have to go in and, they have to ask the questions that they have to ask. And so then you have to repeat yourself, and you wish that you could just say a magic word and they could skip all of the nonsense, and you could just say, here's my problem.
I'm Mikah Sargent.
I've done all the troubleshooting stuff. See, I've gained a lot more empathy regarding that, because my partner used to work as a phone support and chat support person. And in that job, he said, when your stuff is reviewed, you have to have asked all those questions that they ask. And if you don't ask those questions, then you can get in trouble. And so now that I know that, I can't just say the magical things and let it all be skipped. It has to be asked, because that's their job, and their performance reviews will, reflect that. I'm a lot more patient about that. But I do wish that there was a magical word, alakazam, alakazoo, and then I can skip all those silly questions. So anyway, I was putting it off because I didn't want to have to go through that whole process, but I finally did it. Went into the Apple support app, contacted support, answered the questions that they needed, detailed all of the troubleshooting that I did. Then they asked me if I did those troubleshooting steps that I already said I did. And, I said, yes. And they said, okay, we're going to send you a replacement for the left AirPod. So the right one was what went wrong the first time, got that replaced. The left one was the one that was causing me issues. And so they said, we'll send you a replacement. So they sent it with FedEx. I got the FedEx tracking number. And then I put it in my deliveries app and knew that it was going to arrive on a Tuesday. It was actually iOS Today time when I got the notification that it had been delivered. And it was before the show had started. I don't know if it was recorded at this time, so I don't know if it exists out there, but it may have been on the live stream. I quite literally said, hold on, Leo, I'll be right back, because we hadn't started the show yet. I'm going to go get the package off of my doorstep. So I go downstairs, open the door. There's no package on my doorstep. But the thing said it was delivered. And so I looked at my Blink security camera that I have on my porch, and there was nobody who came to my porch. So I looked at the proof of delivery information that FedEx had, because they don't require signatures right now because of pandemic and stuff like that. And it showed my address on the proof of delivery. But there definitely wasn't a package. So I walked outside and I looked, left and right to see if it was delivered to one of the other porches. And my neighbor had a package on their porch, a little envelope. And I seemed to remember that the package that I got last time had an envelope as well, like for the replacement unit. But here's the thing. I am a brown person in America. And so I'm not going to go onto a neighbor's porch and take a package off of it because everything points to me, stealing it or something like that. So what I was going to do was go to the front office and say, can you witness me going and, looking at my neighbor's porch to see if this package is mine. But the office was not open. So my partner was at work, and I asked my partner, who is white, hey, would you mind? He had done it in the past. One time my package got delivered to another porch, and he was not uncomfortable going and grabbing it, and nothing happened. It was all fine. It was my package indeed. And so I said, hey, when you get home, would you mind looking and seeing if that package that's on the porch is mine? And he, no problem. So by the time he got home, my neighbor had come home, and so there was no more package on the porch. And so he said, I didn't see anything there. And I said, okay. And I waited a couple of days just to see if it was going to, if a neighbor had taken it or somebody else in the apartment complex had gotten it on their porch, that they would, put it on mine. And it didn't come to my porch. And so I reached out to Apple support, and they said that they figured out that at some point, the Apple support person that I originally talked to had miswrote my address. And they put the apartment next door to me as the delivery address. So what that tells me, based on FedEx saying that the package was delivered and Apple saying that they had accidentally put my neighbor's address on it, but my neighbor's address, is that my neighbor got that package. And
that one AirPod.
Yeah, that one AirPod, and has it. So here's the problem with that. I have a countdown on my account that if I don't return the replacement unit by X date, then they're going to charge me. Right. Well, I can't return the faulty unit because I don't have the package to return the faulty unit, and I don't have the replacement unit. So I reached out to Apple support again and said, hey, it never showed up. There's been a history of if a package gets delivered to a wrong address, the person who gets it does not correct the issue, basically. Just the other day, in fact, Amazon, they take a photo after they deliver a package and they show you that it was delivered. And I don't know that happens in every place, but it certainly happens in this area. And it was a porch that had like a front doormat that's different than mine and a potted plant next to it. And so definitely it was not my porch. Nope. I never got that package that was mine and actually did have my address and my name on it. I never got that package. They just don't, they keep things. It's unfortunate. Anytime I've ever gotten the wrong package, I always make sure it goes to the person to whom it belongs, but I guess I can't expect the same from other people, sadly. Yeah. So anyway, point is, I knew that I wouldn't be getting that one back. And if it had their address and my name on it, my neighbor doesn't know my name because I'm a millennial who doesn't talk to my neighbors, I guess. So, there's every reason why that person would have, taken that package or whatever. Anyway, so I got in touch, and the person said, hey, I'm going to have to transfer you to a different department, or give me a minute. I'll have to, do some research. They did some research. They checked to see what's your address, and then they said that they would have to transfer me to a senior Apple representative, basically a senior customer service rep. So they transferred me to that person. I explained the situation to them as well. And they said, oh, I'm actually going to have to transfer you to another department and they'll be able to help you. So I got transferred to the other department, and the sweetest customer relations specialist that I've ever had the pleasure of talking to answered. And she was so helpful. I should say they were so helpful. And they, discovered that it was definitely an issue on Apple's part, that they would be sending me a replacement for my AirPod, and that they would cancel the one that was going to charge me. And then also, because of all of the issues, they said, don't even worry about returning the faulty unit. We'll just send you one without any return nonsense. Don't worry about it. So this week at some point, I'm supposed to be getting my repaired unit, and I don't have to worry about doing the replacement just because of all of the nonsense that happened. So it was really good.
Cut it open.
Oh, I should.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I just wanted to say, folks out there, if you have rattling AirPods or howling AirPods, it's basically anytime you activate any of the noise cancellation features, both active noise cancellation and transparency mode, if either of your AirPods make a howling sound, AirPods Pro make a howling sound, or when you sort of brush up against them or they move around in your ear, they make this clicking sound that's definitely not just the material hitting the plastic, but is instead an actual like digital clicking sound, you can get that replaced. I've heard from a lot of people who've had all sorts of problems with their AirPods Pro.
I got mine replaced.
Yeah. And I know one person responded, I think, to both of us saying that they've had like 6 of them replaced in the time since they've had them. So get yours replaced. It's kind of a bummer that this happens to so many people and that this is an ongoing issue. And I hope that, it gets addressed. But the way that it gets dealt with more and better is by continuing to have it corrected, by different folks, because then it starts to become a pattern. And that's what's important, is for them to see that, oh, this is a pattern and it's something we need to address. So, that is the project of the week. It's, it's hearables. It's loosely smart tech, but it is hearables. And it's also has to do with that technology of spatial audio, which is a really interesting feature that I, was happily playing around with before I noticed the howling and the clicking. So kind of a bummer.
Yeah, it's worth reporting for sure, because that does help them understand the scale of those problems. I got to try out spatial audio more, because I think I tried it and didn't try it on the right stuff. And I was everybody was like, wow, it's so cool. And nobody ever posts what they listened to or what they watched. So I'm like, come on. I've seen someone too who, I thought this whole update, the firmware update to add spatial audio, I had at least, maybe it was like the Reddit notes of people just assuming that it fixed this problem. Like, I thought this was not happening anymore, but that's good to know that it is still. Like, a lot of people probably just kind of deal with it or don't think about it.
That's what it seems like, they're dealing with it, which I can't imagine. That howl is too, I mean, I can't imagine listening to music and having that going.
I thought when I got mine replaced, you had said that yours were just in your drawer for like the last 3 months because you just didn't even use them. So
I stopped using them, and that's how it is right now. The only way that I use them is with ANC turned off at night. I just use them as sort of standard AirPods. As long as it's turned off, it doesn't. It's only whenever the noise cancellation features are turned on that it does it, which tells you kind of everything you need to know about there's definitely something wrong. But it's hard to tell if it's a software issue or if it's sort of a hardware-ish issue that's causing it.
Yeah.
Let's move on to our picks of the week next.
Sure.
Alrighty, Matthew, what is your pick of the week?
All right. Sorry, I just closed the tab on accident. That's right. It's Sticky Widgets. Sticky Widget.
Sticky Widget.
Is it Tyler Hilsman? Yes. Tyler Hilsman this morning put out a tweet it was from it's part of a thread from a couple of days ago where he's like, I have a good idea. He says it's a silly idea, but I think it's a good idea for an app, but don't have any time to make it. And then within 6 days puts it out. It's an app that basically recreates what are the Stickies app on Mac OS, which is a classic, looks like a literal sticky note with is it felt marker font? That is
marker felt.
I would say it's like Comic Sans adjacent, except that you don't hate yourself. So it's
I
like
still hate myself.
Fun and chunky kind of. I mean, it's very it's definitely, I wouldn't say 2020 minimalist, but for anybody who has a Mac, or especially it was on the dashboard was a big thing where Mac used to have all of those widgets too. They've existed on Mac in the past. So he pretty much just made it straight up. It just makes the widget with the text, and then you can have the blue or pink colors as well. And very simple, free. I think he's going to add some in-app purchases to do more colors, because I was like, I'm like, make some money from this, because he got like 10,000 views. And at one point, so many people downloaded it right away that Twitter locked his account because they were suspicious that he was like promoting a Twitter or an app link. And so many people clicked it because it was just like, wow. I don't know, if you're into the widget scene right now and you had a Mac and never saw this, it's like, yeah, why would you not get this? It's kind
Charge
of like
me for typefaces, and I will be happy. I will use this and love it without having to have marker felt or chalk duster on my desktop.
It's an aesthetic.
On my home screen. It's an aesthetic choice that I respect, and I will respect when you charge me to use, I don't know, Futura or some Gotham would really be nice.
Yeah. Other good Mac fonts. Yeah, but it seems cool. I think somebody was requesting shortcuts to update the stickies too, so I was like, I'd be down for that. Yeah, just a fun widget one. What's yours?
You know what's funny is that a lot of times, Matthew, you are very helpful in giving me things to use as my app caps on so we record this show on Monday.
I noticed that actually.
And Tuesday I do iOS Today, and you show me these cool apps, and then I'm like, okay, now I got to show this off on iOS Today. So it may very well be that I show this little sticky widget app. I'm not sure, because I've got some other ones that I'm thinking about, but I just like the simplicity of this one, and everybody loves a free app. Exactly. So yeah, I might have to show this off. So thanks for that. Mine, folks, it's a simple thing. It's a simple message, and it comes from the heart. No, it's a simple thing, and it just makes me happy. Cable Matters has a 6-outlet splitter. You can get a 2-pack of it. You get 3 outlets on each side of this 6-outlet splitter. And these are perfect for bathrooms, especially. So in the bathroom, I think that more these days than ever before, we've got more and more electronic devices. I've got my Manscaped lawnmower. I've got my electric toothbrush. I've got an Echo Show with the camera turned off. And my partner has his electric razor, an electric toothbrush, and even more than that. And usually you just get 2 outlets in the bathroom for all those things. And sometimes you got to plug in other things. I've got clippers as well, and my electric trimmer. And so for the longest time, I just kind of unplugged stuff and plugged stuff back in afterward. And it was just getting old. And along comes, for $8.99, for $9, you get a 2-pack of these really well-designed splitters. And folks, if you are a smart tech person, you probably got a bunch of smart tech that plugs in different places. And I kind of want to just replace all of the outlets in my home with these things so that I have more outlets in these different places. It's very sturdy. I think that's been the problem in the past for me, is that sometimes these multi-splitters can be kind of unsturdy. There's a lot of hollow plastic inside, or not hollow plastic, hollow air inside. And they're not UL listed, which is very important. Yeah, exactly. These are UL listed. Because of the design where the plugs go on the left and right, it doesn't wall wart. It doesn't stick a bunch of plugs out. It's more smoothly designed so that they go into the side and take up less space. It's just, you get the low cost, but also the quality design and sort of thoughts that went into creating this. It all came together so nicely. I love Cable Matters. I've got so many different Cable Matters cables, HDMI and USB-C to everything, and all sorts of different cable matter stuff. But I didn't realize that they made power products. And so when I saw this, I ordered one because I was looking for a solution for the bathroom. And then after that, I was like, okay, I'm going to have to go and get some more of these because I want to put them everywhere. So yeah, if you're looking for a way to increase your power outlets, then this is a great way to do that with, it's grounded. Like I said, it's UL listed, and it's got that. Now plugs are required to be tamper proof. So you switch the little outlet and it basically closes off the little prongs where you plug stuff in. So it's properly safety. It's got proper safety requirements for modern regulations. So yeah, it's a pretty low tech product, but you got to plug in a lot of high tech products. So I thought I would call that out. And plus, I don't know, I'm trying to be more conscious from time to time of finding some low cost items to go with my overpriced items. There was one today that I thought about doing, and then I was like, that's $99.95. I'm not doing that. How about $8.99, $9 for two of them? I think that's great.
This is
all
good.
Right, folks.
I need these. This is what I got to do the research on the stability where, because this is like all of my office is powered by like one of these things or something. So, but I like the 90-degree kind of out from the side as opposed to sticking straight out of the wall. That's good.
Yeah, definitely. Oh man. Yeah. I don't even like to think about your electrical system at your house because it's really concerning.
I got a power surge
grounded,
a surge protector.
Oh yeah, but you don't have any ground wires in your walls. And it makes me nervous. Anyway, if you want to share your concerns about a non-grounded house, you can send those to stt@twit.tv. Also questions, thoughts, etc. I'm collecting some again. I've seen a few people write in. We're collecting those so we can do another feedback episode. So now's the time. If there's a project that you want to work on, if there's a question that you have, if you have been tried to install some smart products and it hasn't worked out for you, or whatever it might be, send those questions in to us. We'd love to hear that, and of course thoughts as well. Of course, you can tune in live every Monday when we record the show at 11 a.m. Pacific time. You just head to twit.tv/live or head to twitch.tv/twit at that time. But you know what? Maybe you just want to get the show as soon as it's available. That's like automation. It's smart. Well, you go to twit.tv/SDT, twit.tv/STT, where you can subscribe to the show in video and audio formats of all sorts. We're on YouTube. We're on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We're everywhere. So find the format that works for you. Click that subscribe button. Matthew, if folks want to follow you online, where do they go to do that?
MatthewCassinelli.com/newsletter is where I have links to my What's New in Shortcuts newsletter that I'm sending out every Friday going forward, I'll say. And I've ran into so many shortcuts bugs this last 2 weeks. Has been killing me. But I've been sharing fun stuff to people and little tips about my widgets and things like that. So I definitely recommend you subscribe if you want to just casually stay on top of it, because I'm pretty much sharing all of my stuff through there as well.
Roger that. If you want to follow me online, I'm at Mikah Sargent on pretty much all of the social media networks, or you can head to chihuahua.coffee. That's CHIHUAHUA.coffee, where there are links to the different things I do online. That is going to do it for us this week. Good afternoon, we must say to all. Good afternoon, we must say. My voice is kind of cutting out a little bit. I need some more water or something. But anyway, it is time to say good afternoon to your smart assistants. Goodbye.
Peace.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I am Ant Pruitt, host at TWiT TV. Got a question for you. Have you gotten tired of how bad your photos are looking every time you post them to Instagram? Better yet, have you gotten yourself a new camera and you can't quite figure out why the images just don't look that good? Well, I have a solution for you. It's my show, Hands On Photography. Each and every Thursday, I sit down and share different tips and tricks that are going to help make you a better photographer and a better post processor. So subscribe today at twit.tv/hop to learn more.